But I can unequivocally say, after watching both back to back, that the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker is not only the better of those two movies, but that is, in fact, in my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, the best Batman movie of all time.
I like him already.
Happened in the 90s.
Well, Steve, this weekend did a rewatch of the original two Batmans from the 90s, the Tim Burton Batmans. And I can I've kind of gone back and forth, maybe even on this show, about which is better. But I can unequivocally say, after watching both back to back, that the first one with Jack Nicholson as the Joker is not only the better of those two movies, but that is, in fact, in my opinion, and this is just my humble opinion, the best Batman movie of all time.
I like him already.
And maybe it's because I'm a Prince
Okay.
fan too, but I'm
Are
going
you?
there. I mean, and just in terms of when you throw him into a Batman movie and you just get scenes where Joker's dancing around to Prince music and painting crazy faces on statues and gassing Gotham, I'm into it, you know. But
Okay.
shout out to Danny DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer, and honestly, Christopher Walken too. The villains in the second one, all
Yeah.
top notch, but you just can't beat Jack Nicholson, dude.
Don't leave out Pee Wee.
Yeah,
And
Mr. Copplepot.
yeah, sorry to bust the bubble, but the first Batman was actually summer of '89. But hey,
Still, man. Okay.
it's
Well, still, you're right. I
I
guess
know.
if we're
Fuck you,
saying
Steve.
official, yeah. I mean, did you have to fucking stomp on it? Just fucking round up, Steve.
Hey, just round
Shit.
it up. Hey,
The
well,
home
hey, I
video release happened in the '90s. How about that?
yeah,
Right?
you sure about that? It might have been Christmas of the '89, but I'm still on the fence, man. I really love the original Batman. You know, like you said, Prince and Jack Nicholson is my goat Joker. But damn, man, Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, they killed that shit.
They did. Michelle Pfeiffer's. I mean, Danny DeVito. It's like he was almost born to play that, and it's really
Yeah.
fucking disturbing and disgusting when you watch it in a funny way, especially when you've seen like It's Always Sunny. It's hilarious. But Michelle Pfeiffer is phenomenal as Catwoman, and the movie is great. And
Yeah.
another thing I really like about those first two, in like a really gothic way and dark way, Tim Burton really made the style of those movies his own, and it was like the to me kind of the I liked the Christopher Nolan Batman's plenty, but it was all shiny and Gotham was like this nice city. Tim Burton's Gotham looked like some fucking Phantom of the Opera shit, you know, it just looked crazy and cool.
Tim Burton set the blueprint, man. And
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan, like he did an all right job, in my opinion. He did a good job. You know, Heath Ledger, that's everybody's favorite Joker, man. You know, I am loyal to Jack. He's the best.
Yeah. I mean, he's the most complete. Heath Ledger, it is great. And it's the reason that that second Christopher Nolan Batman movie is so good. But yeah, Jack Nicholson's the bomb. And just the fucking, just funny things that he has that little guy that he bitches out all the time, that he shoots in the parade and stuff. I forget the Wayne or something, his little like second in command dude that he's ordering around all the time. And Jack Palance in that movie. Number one guy. It's so good.
But to piggyback on that, speaking of the original Batmans, I'm still not over this little movement. We're over the '90s, bro. So I've compiled a list of things that prove otherwise. No one is over the '90s, even the people who say that. And I'm sure I'm leaving some things out. Aladdin, remade into a live action. The Apartment, Beauty and the Beast was remade. Cats, La Femme Nikita, Flatliners. They even remade Forrest Gump into a Hindi remake called Lal Singh Chada in 2022. Insomnia, Judge Dredd, if you will, Lion
Mm.
King, Mulan, Mortal Kombat, Point Break, RoboCop, Total Recall, White Men Can't Jump, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Baywatch, The Craft, Power Rangers, Charmed Much? Reboot, Legends of the Hidden Temple reboot, Powerpuff Girls reboot, Party of Five reboot, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Rush Hour. They made that into a fucking series with Chris Fucker and Jackie Forchan, The Matrix, Men in Black, Jacob's Ladder. What did I leave out, Matt?
I mean, there's so much that you left out. I think I'm trying
Exactly.
to. You had one thing that I just saw a remake of, and it's completely out because you named so many amazing things. But one, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You said they remade it once. They remade it like 10 times in this. So that Fresh Prince. You say Fresh Prince? Because that
Left that out.
Yep. Uh, Shit. I mean, we're just getting Martin. Netflix brought Martin in, and they finally are recognizing that greatness, and that just happened this month. So, I mean, anybody that says the '90s people hate it or they wanted to get rid of it, you can suck it, as DX said.
Yeah.
And that, dude. Also, Steve, just because I said DX, and we've mentioned this so much, I saw something I loved that I've never seen, which was DX referencing Shockmaster and doing like an homage to that. Have you ever seen this?
I have not.
It's Triple H and Shawn talking to I think it's JR about like a WCW best of DVD that's coming out. And Triple H is like, yeah, it's crazy. All these great matches, this and that. Or no, it's Dusty Rhodes is the other guy. And this is like a WWE thing, but he's like, I'm not seeing the greatest moment in WCW history. And Shawn's like, what are you talking about? And Triple H is like, Shockmaster. And he explains like what it was. And then somebody comes out as Shockmaster and like does the whole thing to Shawn and Triple H. It's hilarious, dude. It's so good.
Stumbles through the wall.
It does the whole thing, dude. It's so good. So, yeah, man, I don't remember anything. Wrestling, dude. The fucking wrestling. I just saw a WrestleMania that was just laden with 90s wrestling. Fucking Rock's back and shit. So, shout out to everything. And fuck anyone who says the 90s are dying or dead or whatever. They're gone, but never forgotten. And no one's hating on it. So, suck a D.
WrestleMania 40. I watched the whole thing. And speaking of The Rock, he was a part of the main event, as well as Undertaker and John Cena. John Cena's not 90s, but they all made cameos. And Triple H, he is the head of WWE, man. So with that, you get all of the nostalgia. Every time I look at Triple H, I think of the game. I think of DX. I think of Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And people want that attitude. The masses have like asked for this, begged for this. We want Attitude Era back. And when did Attitude Era kick in? The 90s.
Yeah. And yeah, I just got to say, just like quick side note about that, other than what we just said, seeing The Rock and whatever this is now, I absolutely love it. And this is what I said he needed to do, maybe on the show. He had to go heel again. All this, like, I'm successful, I'm the superstar Rock, Hollywood in a good way. I love this. Him just coming out, just beating the shit out of people and being a badass. Loving that.
Dude, they're doing a good job, man. Like they're basically saying this is a new era, and The Rock is basically taking over like Vince's role from back in the day. He's kind of like an authoritarian of sorts because he has a stake in TKO, which bought WWE. So he's kind of like the big brass. He's playing that executive role of. He calls himself the final boss. So he's been going up against Cody Rhodes. That's the Rhodes son, baby. And shout out to Cody Rhodes, man. Like I bitched up watching that because he finally beat Roman bitch ass Reigns. Spoiler alert, everybody. But yeah, man, I love what I saw. And let's hope that the Attitude Era will return from the 90s.
Fuck yeah.
But hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Weird Al Yankovic and your Weird Science box sets. Because it seems today that all we see is violence in movies and sex on TV. But were those good old fashioned values of which we used to rely? Lucky we're some 90s guys. Lucky we're some men who positively can do all the things that make us laugh and cry. We're some 90s guys.
I gotta say, in my head, I never would have thought that, and we're going to talk about these episodes, but Walker, Texas Ranger and Family Guy somehow being released in the same time frame. I thought they were way far apart, but there goes me thinking again, Steve.
Gotta stop doing that. But you know what? I think because Walker, Texas Ranger, it went on, I think, past the 90s. It lasted all the way into the 2000s. And Family Guy, they're still going, unfortunately.
You're going to fire Chuck Norris? I mean, CBS, there's nobody with the nuts to do that. You got to walk up on Chuck and be like, hey, it's over, dude, because he's going to lariat.
Because that's where Ranger's going to be. But today, my friend, we're talking about all things April 18th in the 90s. Starting off in 1991, John Stockton, yes, that guy again, breaks his own NBA season assist record at 1,136. Mama, there goes that man again.
This motherfucker, dude. Just get a 1,600 on his SATs and just fucking keep giving out them assists. I mean, who beat this? Like, how long did it take for this guy to get over? I mean, I'm sure in the modern era, there's somebody that's completely gone past this, but it had to have taken a while. No?
I mean, I don't think anybody is beating that, man, because he broke the record, I want to say, in 95, 96, and he went on to play all the way until 2003.
Damn.
Yeah. I would have to check to see who's closest. Maybe Chris Paul, because he's still active and he's been in the game for so long, man. But John Stockton, bro, like we've talked about this before. He doesn't look the part, but damn, get him on the court and he's trouble.
Yeah, dude. He'll fucking be a kid's work like at a kid's like church camp. That's what he looks like. Somebody that's like the manager of a kid's church camp, you know? But shout out to John Stockton. Shout out to him being one of the best duos in NBA Jam with Karl Malone. And shout out to that old school Utah Jazz jersey. Love that throwback. Never liked the Jazz, but I love that throwback.
Yeah. I don't like the Jazz. I don't like the state. I don't like the fact that they kept the name Jazz because initially it was New Orleans. And there's nothing jazzy about Utah, but I wouldn't mind having one of those purple throwbacks. But that following year, 92, Nick News with Linda Ellerbee debuts on Nickelodeon. And this was groundbreaking, man. I think the most infamous episode was when they had Magic Johnson on there, and he was talking to the little girl who was born with AIDS. That girl actually grew into a woman, and she just recently passed, man. But yeah, this was early 90s, man. They broke some ground. And apparently there was a 12-year-old Meghan Markle on an episode in 1993, The Future Princess. She was featured after writing letters to get a company to change a national television commercial she viewed as sexist.
Damn, Meghan. Okay. I mean, this was like, if there was any national or like international tragedy, Linda Ellerbee would come on. They do like a round table sometimes. I'm sure maybe when there was like a Columbine event, they had something, or maybe like the Oklahoma City bombing or, something like that. But yeah, dude, this was like for the kids. And Linda Ellerbee was like our Barbara Walters, I feel like, at least in terms
in a
of
way,
like the emotional side of it,
The Oprah for kids.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out to Linda Ellerbee. But 1994, Arsenio Hall announces he will end his late night TV talk show in May of that same year. Growing up as a Black kid, he was always my go-to. Johnny, he was before my time, but I was familiar with him. I didn't like appreciate Letterman until like I was an adult, really. Conan wouldn't come until, he wouldn't come into the picture later, for me at least. But, this was a tough year for the Arsenio Hall show because I think the problem stemmed from him hosting Farrakhan. he interviewed Farrakhan in February of 94. And there was a lot of pushback from the executives, from the public in general, man. He was looked at as a pariah, and to a
Yeah.
lot of people still to this day. But Arsenio, he stood his ground. He's like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna interview Farrakhan. And he did it. Most of the show was him interviewing Farrakhan, man, and ratings decline. um
It's crazy.
Farrakhan is, yeah, he's been looked at as anti-Semitist, and that couldn't be any further from the truth, man. But they said that it wasn't because of ratings; it's because Arsenio, he just he said it was time.
Yeah, I feel like he was like you mentioned all the late night guys, and they were all obviously prolific for their own reasons, but there was a time and place where you could argue that one, Arsenio was bigger than anybody because he was getting like, I mean, he had some huge moments like Bill Clinton coming on and playing the sax and shit like that.
Yeah,
And there's nobody that's been able to, other than Conan O'Brien, like sort of disrupt the two main juggernauts of late night TV as much as he did. And I'm sure like he
yeah,
probably was not getting the respect that he thought he should get. And it is weird, dude. That Farrakhan guy was so like polarizing and still is. But
yeah.
it's strange that they would punish him for like if that was what kind of caused that. Like everybody was having like crazy people on at that time, especially like daytime talk shows and stuff, and they were staying on the air. They'd have like KKK guys and shit like that. It's like they're not getting pulled off the
Exactly.
air like punished for that shit.
Yeah. And Jerry Springer, he's had all kind of shit, man. He went all the way into the 2010s, man.
Yeah,
You
dude.
know,
But I
and
mean, Arsenio got brought back for a little bit. I don't know about the quality, but I mean, he's always been respected. He's obviously got a connection to like 80s and definitely the 90s and another person that lives on because of what he did in the 90s, I feel like, if nothing, and the 80s, obviously. He was in a lot of great movies, but yeah, dude, it sucks that he had to fucking like not keep going. 'Cause I mean, what else would have kept him from like continuing on up? He's having great guests. He's great on. He's a great person, like personality. So it is weird to think about. Maybe that is what caused it, though.
and I also have to add, he's one of the few late night talk show hosts that actually interviewed wrestlers. Like, some people, they would have, the other shows would have them sometimes, but like he's had Hogan, he's had Savage, Ultimate Warrior, Bad News Brown, and like all of these are on YouTube, man. Like, put Arsenio in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, I would love that.
But that following year, 95, quarterback Joe Montana announces his retirement from football. My goat.
Yeah, this was a big one. He went on. He left the team, which at the time, like people stayed with the teams that they played for. Especially a guy like Joe Montana, he wasn't going to play with another jersey on. He did. Played for the
No.
Chiefs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
He played for the
Go ahead.
Chiefs. Yeah,
He
for
played for
sure
the
did.
Chiefs.
And he actually had a little bit of success, like switching over there. Not that like he didn't
Yeah.
do great, but yeah, man, dude, Joe Montana was our Tom Brady, our everything, and to me, he is the goat. Tom has more rings and stuff like that, and I think I'm just a hater.
Yeah.
But Joe Montana was a real one, dude, and for a while he was my favorite player. Period, because he was that good. He was the Michael Jordan of football for a
Yeah.
while.
Still to this day, fuck the bullshit. When it comes to quarterbacks, yes, he is the MJ. And I'll be a self-acclaimed hater of Tom Brady because fuck that school up north, fuck some Tom Brady. And Joe Montana, you can go through his whole career, no asterisks, no deflate gate, no tuck rule, none of that. He won his shits outright.
Gunning it. Also, before there was Madden video games, there was Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, Steve. So in that
Thank
realm
you.
too, trend setting.
Where's the Tom Brady video game? Huh? You punk bitch? Huh? Yeah, you fucking Wolverine? Yeah, that's what I thought.
There we
And
go.
if you played Tecmo Bowl back in the day, there were a couple teams that you picked like you're not going to be touched. The Raiders because of Bo Jackson and the Niners.
That's it. And Niners also little hack in Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. You use the 49ers. you do a fake punt pass, you will get a touchdown every play if you run a fake punt pass. Because Joe Montana's throwing it, Steve, and that's the greatness that was Joe Montana and his video game. So this guy's he's a living legend, Steve. He's still out here, and there isn't even now when everything's coming out and all of our heroes are being torn to shreds because they were perverts or whatever. Joe Montana just living the good life, rich, successful, untarnished legacy. What's up, Joe?
But and 1997. I'm going to preface this by saying, 97 for film, you know, it was a shit show because April 18, 97, Eight Heads in a Duffel Bag debuts in theaters, and a mob bagman finds that his luggage containing the proof of his gang's latest hit has been switched. Directed by Tom Schulman, starring Joe Pesci, Christy Swanson, David Spade, George Hamilton, Leatherface, Diane Cannon, Andy Comeau, and Todd Luiso. But
Where my fucking bags at, you fucking piece of this movie was something that I tried to watch. I remember renting this from the library, so it was a free rental.
Slim Pickens.
It just doesn't hit the way you want a Joe Pesci, David Spade joint to hit, Steve. You know?
I mean, were you needing checks that bad, David? What about you, Joe? I mean, the royalties from Goodfellas, from Home Alone, were they like drying up?
And speaking just from like a logic perspective, as like somebody who I'm never going to be a hitman because I don't have the nuts, but I don't think I'm flying with a duffel bag full of heads. You know, the dogs might start barking when you get to the fucking checkout. You know, but Joe's doing it, Steve, and he's a gangster. So, you know, what you do get in this is Joe Pesci doing a lot of cursing, and if you like that, you're gonna like this movie a little bit.
A little bit, at most. And you know, that same year, McHale's Navy that premiered. A retired Navy officer returns to active duty along with a group of misfit sailors to battle his former nemesis. Directed by Brian Spicer, starring Tom Arnold, David Alan Grier, Dean Stockwell, Deborah Messing, Tim Curry, Ernest Borgnine, even. Like,
wait,
the guy.
McHale's Navy, isn't that Kelsey Grammer, Steve?
McHale's I thought he was. That was Operation Dumbo Drop, wasn't it?
No, it's McHale's Navy. I think you looked up the wrong movie. I don't want to like get you lost in the sauce, but let me look it up again because I'm almost 100%. McHale's Navy is a Kelsey Grammer naval joint.
Well, I just saw the movie and I didn't see Kelsey. I saw the guy. I saw the guy from Quantum Leap. I saw the Dag. You know, I even saw what's the guy from all the fucking zombie movies? I saw him in there.
Well, shit, Steve. I guess there was a bunch of McHale's Navy. I had prepared some verbiage about Kelsey Grammer's movie, but apparently I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm going to shut the F up.
Did you see French Stewart in the movie that you were looking up? Bruce Campbell?
Bruce Campbell's in this shit too?
Yeah, and I'm looking at it on Wiki right now. It's McHale's Navy.
Well, shit, I need to watch it again. But there is a movie, I think, called McHale's Navy with Kelsey Grammer. I can't get the fucking thing to come up because...
Down Periscope? Is that the one you're thinking of?
That's exactly what I'm thinking of, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah, and that came out in 96. And it came out around this time. It came out March 1st, 96, man. Because I was going into this expecting this because I got them mixed up. They both suck. Yeah, both horrible movies, man. And maybe it's just a springtime and summer in the 90s. Like, you know, it's just like we're just throwing shit out.
Yeah. Wow, dude, I completely turned that around, but you're right. This is there's a lot of hitters in this.
Yeah.
You'd think that this would actually be good. Tim Curry and Ernest Borgnine. I mean, Tom Arnold's all coked up in it, I'm assuming, but you even get a French Stewart. You get a little Third Rock from the Sun. So I apologize, one, for putting my foot in my mouth. I was thinking of Down Periscope, and I gotta say, if you look at the covers for the movies of McHale's Navy in 1997 and Down Periscope, almost identical.
That's why I'm not shaming you, Matt. They both
Thank you.
equally suck too. They both.
But the other one had Kelsey Grammer in it, Steve, and I think it had the guy, if I'm not mistaken, who played Artie, the strongest man in the world from Pete and Pete. There was somebody that was doing like fucking like impersonations and like sound effects with their mouth in it, and I think it was
Michael
that.
Winslow.
Yeah, like
Oh,
it was on that level, but it was the
oh,
Artie dude, I think. But
yeah. Okay.
we have spun out. McHale's Navy looks like a piece of shit, but it does have Tim Curry in it. So if you're in on that, go for it.
Dude, it's got the dag in it. Like this is one of them situations where the pieces are greater than the sum. Because David Allen Greer, you got Tom Arnold, which you know he can be good in some things. It's got Dean Stockwell from Quantum Leap, Deborah Messing. You know, Will and Grace sucks, but she was hot. Tim
Yeah, oh
Curry,
yeah.
but dude, just no, you're better. And Bruce Campbell, French Stewart. You know, I don't know if Bruce Campbell got clearing from the zombies. I didn't know he was allowed to work with like alive people.
Right? Hell
That's
yeah, dude. God damn. It just okay,
yeah,
give me Bruce Campbell and Dag in any movie, and I would think that I would at least watch it. You know
pump
what I'm
fake.
saying? Well, you can't win them all, Steve. And I think Tom Arnold snorted a lot of the budget of the movie, so maybe that's what
Yeah.
happened.
And to add to this hopping pile of shit, Murder at 1600 premieres in 97. A young woman is murdered in the White House. Homicide detective Regis investigates while Secret Service works against him. He's assigned to Agent Chance. She eventually cooperates after a man's frame, directed by Dwight Little, starring Wesley Snipes, Diane Lane, Alan Alva, Danielle Benzali, Ronnie Cox, and Dennis Miller.
Hey,
You
babe.
know what? Yeah. So, okay, my favorite dynamic duos in movies that came out on April 18th in the 90s is Dennis Miller and Wesley Snipes, Wesley and Dennis, Dennis and Wesley, Wesley Snipes and Dennis Miller. And
Mm.
just last week, we had Dennis Rodman and Jean Claude Van Damme, who's
Or Rob Van Dam. I'll watch
or
that
Rob.
too. Shit.
Yeah, yeah. In the battle of the tag team Dennises, who's winning this? Wesley Snipes and Dennis Miller, Dennis Rodman and Jean Claude Van Damme.
God, that's a Sophie's choice, but I got to go with anything with Wesley Snipes. So unfortunately, we're picking Murder at 1600 with Dennis Miller, babe. And you want it to be good. It was all there, Steve. It was a Hollywood movie. They put a budget. Wesley's in the White House. Is he a detective, I think? Or is he I forget. I don't remember the whole gestalt of this, but
He's
it's not what it's another of these movies. 1997 cinematically was the blue ball year of the 90s. They had so
yeah,
much going for it, but it just didn't work out.
yeah. You did give us Liar Liar, so thank you for that. But you know,
You got to
it's
win one. The statistics say they got to have one winner. So we got Liar Liar, but Wesley, come on, man.
better than that. Just like Bruce Campbell, you're better than McHale's Navy. You like, bro, you're better off working with the unalive. But that following year, 1998, Walker Texas Rangers airing season 6, episode 21, Angel. Trevette's old flame, now a killer for hire, murders a man in front of him.
And this goes to show you, Steve, Trevette's been on the job 6 seasons with Walker Texas Ranger. Walker leaves town for one fucking week, couple of days. Fucking Trevette gets honey potted. This guy can't be trusted, Steve. He can't. He's not. He can't take over for Walker. I don't like it.
Look at that mouth, though, Matt. Pause.
Shit.
Look at that mouth. Like, she's fine. I can't blame Trevette. And he used to fuck with her back in the day, so he thinks he's good in the game.
And it's to me what I saw was a guy who almost got the pussy in like high school or whenever they were like together before, never did. So now it's rolled back over to him, and this is the dream come true. You know, we'll get to it, but when she shows up, he's like, "It's you! Oh my God, it's you!"
She big fine. I man, I just trying to fight the urge, man. But Trivette and Walker, they're already on a chase. That's how we start this episode off. Shots are being fired. A Bronco gets T-boned. Shout out to OJ, R.I.P. They're knocking over construction sites, and I love the '90s horrible shooting from the villains. The guys hanging out the window, like Walker's truck is right here. The other car shooting is like right here. Not a dent left in Walker's car. Just
He gets noodle arms, Steve. But I will say, and I didn't know Dallas or the metro area of Dallas was like this, where these motherfuckers are going across town just busting shots. This would be national news.
yeah.
Walker's in a fucking or in his big ass pickup truck. Trevette's driving that '90s Mustang that everyone had that I hated. It's like everybody's like stepmom's car, but he's out there tooling through town. And I gotta say, dude, these motherfuckers, they're about it, Steve. I don't know what the thug situation is in Dallas now, but Walker had his work cut out for him, apparently.
Yeah, maybe they were from Oak Cliff, man. I've heard about them. But Walker, he gets a hold of two guys at the same time. He knocks them both down, and he gives them that Tony Horton action: jab, jab, hook, uppercut. God damn it! And apparently after they nab the villains, the heels or whatever you call them, the baddies, Walker, he's going to head back to Camp Justice. Got to take care of some business back there, and he's leaving Trivette in charge. And Trevette's just like, don't worry about it. Wait. Don't worry about it. You saying that like I should be worrying about something. You sure you good? It's just a figure of speech. Don't worry about it. Oh, just fucking with you anyway. Don't worry about that.
But don't fuck up the city while I'm gone. Don't fuck this
That
up.
part.
Then we go to CD's, Walker's Bud, everybody's Bud, the local hangout. And Walker, before he leaves town, he's got to get that chess match in Steve with CD. That's his daily. That's how he meditates, I guess.
Yeah, he's like Busta Rhymes. Woo! I got you all in check.
I love that too, because he's so cool. He's fucking CD thinks he has him. He's like, yeah, it's all good. I gotta go anyway. But right before I go,
Checkmate, bitch.
CD can't even believe it. I love CD, dude. CD's just out here, just hanging out, playing chess, owning a bar, and hanging out with some hotties too, Steve. He gets to hang out with that blonde lady all the time, and I love that.
Alex, yeah, and I love how he just catches people off guard because he has this look of Wilford Brimley's brother, and you think you about to just creep up on an old man like, man, let me give me your wallet, give me all your Werther's originals. No, I got that goddamn it on me, bitch.
You don't want to do that, son.
You don't want to do that, son. I reckon.
Yeah, so Walker's he's got to go. He's going to Camp Justice, which at this point I don't know what it is. It doesn't sound cool, but we'll figure out what that is here shortly. But at the station, Trevette's got all the paperwork, bunch of files. Walker left him a bunch of work to do because he's the bitch. And he's sitting there doing it. And all of a sudden, little tenderoni walks in, Steve, little Angel. And
Oh yeah.
coincidentally, her name is Angel. And it seems like Trivette and her know each other because Trevette's like I said, just completely dumbfounded.
Catches him off guard,
I
man.
know that ass anywhere.
Yeah, that pretty mouth. It's been 15 years, man. And she needs help finding her father. So in a way, we're starting this off on an innocent and very hallmarkish way. They even play the little jingle going into commercial break.
Oh yeah, because that's where a Ranger's got to be and some pussy. Love that song though, and the fucking intro is classic for all the wrong reasons. It's so cheesy, but very powerful. If
Very
Chuck Norris,
Texas.
it's like if Chuck Norris had a church, that would be what was just playing it before the service. I feel like, but Angel and Trivette did know each other, and now they're reconnecting, and it turns out Angel's missing a dad. Mom's gone, she's dead, and the dad cut out a long time ago, and to her this is the only loved one she has left, so she's just searching for dear old dad, and she's really tugging on Trevette's heartstrings. And he's a cop, so she's like, maybe you can help me find this guy.
She's tugging on heartstrings and my nuts. And we cut to Walker. He's driving to Camp Justice, and we get a flashback from a previous episode, apparently. And one of the lieutenants or sergeants in charge is played by Clarence Williams III, R.I.P. And his character is Luther Dobbs.
Ah, yes, the shit. You kids want the shit?
Oh, yes.
I'll give you the shit.
Shit.
Yeah.
Welcome to hell.
I mean, if somebody's gonna scare you straight, it's that dude for sure. Shut up, bitch.
Even in Half Baked, in a comedy, a stoner comedy, he still scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, dude. And he's not here to lift anybody's spirits. He's here to fucking just pound these kids into the ground with justice, apparently, or whatever. So this is a camp for wayward teens. A lot of cholo looking white boys coming off that bus. A lot of just wayward white boys that clearly have just got off of a Maury episode. But Clarence Williams III, he's not enough. So he had to call on the big guns, Chucky Norris, to really just whoop these kids into shape. Because, you know, you're not going to walk away from a camp stay where Chuck Norris is teaching you without a couple of life lessons, Steve.
Officer Redbeard himself, man. And cut back to Trevette. He's talking to Angel, and she's just like, Jimmy, take me with you. I'm all alone. And you don't have to pull my leg. You ain't got to ask me twice. I can't blame Trevette. I would have been a sucker too, man. I probably would have got bopped upside the head and everything.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, this is the dream for some. Like, Trevette strikes me as somebody who maybe was a nerd at one point in his life. I'm gonna go into something I think you're gonna like, but this is a whole thing. This is like the high school sweetheart thing. But we do find out in this conversation in CDs also that Steve would have been a fan of Trevette because apparently he played for the Cowboys for a while. He gave it all up to go play for the Cowboys. That's why he had to leave Honey behind, I think. And he's looking at her now. He might have made a mistake, Steve.
Damn. And, she is played by Valerie Pettiford. And I remember her from Half and Half. She was on the show with Rachel True, and I can't call it the big sister from Smart Guy. It was one of those CW or WB series, man. But she played the mom, and like she's just grown sexy to me. But yeah, we find out like she wanted to be committed, but like you said, Trevette couldn't make that commitment because he had to go play for Jerry and them boys down in Texas. And Alex, this is somewhat of a forewarning. She tells him, hey, be careful. The woman that she was in college might not be the same woman now.
I got friends in college. She's like, I had a friend in college, nice as hell, but now she out here sucking dick for crack. So just pay attention, bud. And you're a cop. Have some fucking instincts, Trevette. But at this point, he's lost in the sauce, Steve. We go to a hotel, very nice hotel Angel's staying at. Trevette picks her up, and not really a red flag, but she's like, ooh, is this your car? And he has to explain, oh, this ain't the Mustang. This ain't that cool ass stepmom Mustang I had. This is a little something from the shop right now because I got in a little accident.
Oh, bummer.
And they're basically, this isn't even a date. They got to go out. They're looking for the dad. They got to go to these, like, they're going to do some investigation. So they go to a fucking bar. Trevette goes up to the bar owner and is like, hey, look, because I think it's alluded that maybe her dad was like a gambler. Maybe.
He was a regular.
Why. Okay.
Yeah.
So he goes up to the bar owner. He's like, hey, man, do you know this guy? And the guy's like, playing dumb. He's like, so what about that poker game you got? And he starts strong arming the fucking bar owner. And the guy at some point's like, I don't know this dude. And I think he just kind of like admits he has a poker game, but they don't know this guy, I think, is really what happens. But while he's doing this, old Honey gets hit on by Toby Keith and his buddy. And, he has to step in, Steve. It's about to get rowdy up in this bar.
Bitch, I said, let me buy you a drink.
Hey, honey. It just doesn't make sense. This hot, like, black chick and then these two rednecks as well. It just looks very, like, it's not who I would think would approach this chick. But, what? Don't judge a book by his cover. This guy is into black chicks. I get it. But Trevette has to fucking throw a couple of fucking kicks to the chops. He's got to pull out his inner Chuck Norris and lay these guys down because they're a little disrespectful, Steve. They're out of pocket.
He beat the fuck out of him in a matter of 2 seconds. And Trevette on the way back, he sees a kid that fell off his bike, and just being the gentleman, being the just the kind-hearted person that he is, he helps out the little kid. Not only that, he gets him another ice cream cone. Angel
I want to date this motherfucker. This guy's Mother Teresa, Steve.
Yeah. And he played for the Cowboys. Shit, man. And Angel sees this. She's just, getting wet in the panties. And she says, "You're still the best person I've ever known."
And yeah, and then they stop at the hotel to drop off. And she's like, she gets real cryptic here. She's like, "Do you think we could ever go back? Somebody could ever go back to the way it was? And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, how we used to be. And it's very kind of vague. We don't know what we're talking about here, but Trevette lays one on her, Steve. Throws a little smooch action her way, which I applaud. I love the balls on that. Yeah. And I think it's kind of smooth because he's like, "You know what? I don't believe in living in the past. I think we ought to just move forward," and just goes in, gets the smooch, and just calls it very gentlemanly after that. He doesn't want to, he's like, "Have a good night, miss." Love that.
And shot for Clarence Gilliard because he's no longer with us, man. And that's unfortunate. Like, watching this show, the guy is jacked. You would have thought he really did play in the NFL, man. And it's unfortunate, man.
Throw a fucking sidekick too, like a motherfucker. He's throwing out some nice kicks, Steve.
Dude, yeah. Shout out to him, man. But eventually they find the guy that they're looking for, and they get to the house. This is another trespassing episode. Just like Brendan Walsh, we just walking into houses, not knocking, and they see the guy. He's in his living room. He's listening to some Miles Davis, what have you. And
motherfucker, how loud is it too? Because they're doing a lot of yelling and knocking. And this, I know he appears to be drunk because there's a bottle of alcohol, but it's just jazz music. This shit wasn't loud. He didn't have THX sound in that fucking house, Steve. What the fuck is going on here? But they catch him on thank God he wasn't jacking off, because he walked up behind him to the point where that tapping on his shoulder surprised this guy. So that guy gets up. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck?"
I don't even think he got a word in. Because Trevette, he's apologizing. "I'm sorry to just burst in on you."
What the fuck? And so Angel just blasts dude, Steve. No preliminaries, no nothing. The guy just has a fresh boner because he was looking at some on the TV. He gets caught off guard, and now he's dead. Trevette's sitting there shocked because now the pussy that he was planning on getting that night, that's out the window. So he's doing the math now, like, where did I go wrong? And Angel has the gun. She could blow his ass up. She just fucking knocks his ass on the head, fucking leaves. Honeypotted, dude. And it's like, damn, Trevette, now, dude, you're an accessory, bro. Not only did you bring somebody you found this person. And I do want to go back to when Trevette gets the message that they found the dad, because it is one of the most comical computer graphics I've ever seen, where it's a huge red message screen on his computer. He's like, "Oh shit, got him." What was that? What program was that, dude?
This is, he's operating off of one of those free AOL discs, man. Internet is still brand new.
Yeah. And, now he's fucked, Steve. He's part of a crime. He's at the crime scene now with a headache and no answers. And there's a Guido cop that is out here, or I don't know what the guy is.
He's Hispanic.
Okay.
He's Hispanic because his name is Carlos, and Carlos is talking to him like, "Hey, man," he's basically giving Trevette the rundown. Like, she's a part of the Andros gang. The guy that you were looking for, his name isn't Gaston. His name is Frank Randall, and he testified against the Andros gang. And the head of the gang, his brother, is basically serving life. So she was a hired hit woman.
Trevette's like,
"I'm stupid."
What? Fuck. And he takes off because Carlos is talking to him. He's like, I gotta go, man. If nothing else, I might be arrested if you guys look into this too much. So he's off. Trevette keeps calling. It's also comical because every once in a while in this episode, Trevette just has to call Walker and like check in. We see him once; he's like doing push-ups with kids, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I met this chick or whatever." But this time, he's like, "Yo, boss, it's a very like Gomer Pyle, Andy Rooney relationship that we got going here." Because he's like, "Boy, I don't know, dude. What happened?"
I left the keys in your possession for one day, goddammit, and you do this.
I got kids over here trying to fucking whoop each other's asses. I got 50 push-ups in on this kid, and you're over here fucking Dallas up. But he's sympathetic. He's like, look, man, fucking, it's not your fault. All this bullshit. I think at this point, does he?
We're at Club Kingston.
Yeah, okay. So now we meet Andros, Steve. Andros, and apparently the whole Jamaican cabal of thugs that's in Dallas. I love this.
Dude, the last New York Undercover episode we covered, you mentioned how like in the 90s, Jamaican gangs were like a thing that were like heavily used in like these sitcoms or whatever, man, movies and all of that. And here we are.
I don't get it. I don't know what happened, but it was like they were the go-to general thugs of like of the 90s. They were the communists, you know, like that. It was just a generalized gang that apparently Jamaican gang, Steve, cutthroat, and they're gonna get to the top. So
Very irie.
yeah, it's bomba clot. But Andros, his look is suspect. He looks like a gay pirate, Steve, and I'm not into it. It looks like
Yeah,
some
I don't know
True
what-
Blood shit.
Because you know Andros is played by Grand Bush, and I don't know what's worse, him looking like this or Balrog from Street Fighter, because that damn hairline I will never get over.
He's really intense, man. But he's got a bumbling fool of a gang. This is like the Three Stooges of gangs. Like every time he sends them out, they come back fucked up. Like, boy, the bomber clan shit happened, boss. And then they're just constantly caught off guard. But he's a threat, Steve, and he's at least big enough to be hiring some fucking pros, you know?
Pros, and one of the pros is played by Billy Sly Williams. And just last week, a week prior, April 11th in the 90s, he was on an episode of Martin, and he was in that episode. Mama Martin, I think I can sing. He played the record label exec. So,
Well, Andros wants Angel killed now because, you know, she did the dirt, but she's a loose end. And like all villains, you gotta close this up. So he tells his guys, kill the bitch. You know? And he sends two of his best out there. So we cut back to the police station again. He's talking to fucking Walker again. And he's like, look, I'm trying to find this chick. She's gone. And Walker's like, you know, if she was a pro, why do you think she didn't just blow your head off? Because I would have done that. And Trevette's
Well-
like, I don't know, man. All I can think about is that's her beautiful perfume.
damn, the smell of that. I miss that. And he tells them like, well, maybe you'll find out when you do catch her.
Yeah. But now it's time for a Jamaican hit, Steve. And these two guys show up. They get to like a warehouse. And I love how like blasé they are about just like kind of sitting outside of a business front, just like out in the open. They got a briefcase of money, they got guns, and they're just like the one guy's just constantly going like where they're waiting. And as they're waiting, one of the guys, or they keep cutting back between these guys, one of the dudes just gets Assassin's Creed throat slash, comes out of nowhere like and the other guy's like, what the fuck? And he gets shot in the fucking head, Steve.
Yeah, Vincent Van Gogh style, man. What the fuck? And like, we didn't even hear a gunshot. Did she have a potato on that gun?
I don't know, but not only does she shoot this guy's ear off of his fucking head, he's laying down. She throws a nice kick to the chops just to fucking really dig it in, which I appreciate. I mean, but damn, bitch, you could have just let him go. But she runs off, and as she's running off, we see a little innocent white boy who saw it all, Steve. He's got his Bugle Boy jeans on. He's got his little BMX bike, and he saw it all. He's seen a dead body. He's seen a shooting, and then we cut to the actual crime scene aftermath. And Carlos is here again, doing his due diligence, just like Trevette should be. But they're interviewing the kid, and now the cop is like airing basically what I thought, where he's like, "Hey man, second crime scene shooting you've been involved in today, and your friend keeps fucking this, like, what's going on here?" And Trevette's, I mean, I don't know what he says, but
She's not my friend. She was my friend. She's a killer, and I'm gonna bring her down.
it's all business from here on out, Carlos. Mark my words. So leaves again. Carlos is sitting there, and if I was Carlos, I'd be writing a couple of things in my little detective notebook, like Trevette, main suspect, because there's a lot of dirt happening. Where there's smoke, there's fire. So Trevette, you got a little bit of ways to dig your way out of this hole that you've got. But we cut to Andros. He's talking to fucking the guy without the ear. He's like, Bombaclat, what happened? I can't do a Jamaican accent, Steve. I've tried all day.
Two man can't handle one woman. She's not perfect. She left a witness named James Trevette. So now we killed them both. But they told him before this even went down, before the homie lost his ear, even though there's two of them, they were like, man, I don't know if we can handle this. She's the real deal. She's the devil.
She came out of nowhere. It was like Batman shit, man. He's dead. Man, he's dead, man. He's like all fucking all fucked up. But these fucking Jamaican gangs, man, they need to just get it together, because that's happening. Trevette's right outside in his fucking fixed up Mustang. He's got that back, which that's a good body shop. They do quick work. He's sitting there casing the joint. He knows exactly what's going on. And then he sees this very shapely janitor get out of a van. And he's like, wait a second. Yeah. That looks a little sus. And the janitor had great titties and ass. So let me go over there and see what's going on. It turns out the janitor's Angel. She's a master of disguise, Steve.
On top of being fine, I'm sorry. I just gotta just pinpoint that. She is it for me. I would lose my badge fucking around with her. She's the angel of death.
So in this case, Steve, because Trevette gets the drop on her now, he's got the gun on her, but she's quick with the tool. Bitch is always armed. She is a hitman. She turns around. They're in like a little standoff in front of the building, Steve, in broad daylight. And they're arguing back and forth. And she, to add more to the honeypot, is like, look, dude, now that you know who I am, I got millions stashed away. I got a Bahama fucking timeshare we could go to, and you're the only guy with the dick big enough and the balls big enough to fucking get with this. Because I've seen you do the dirt, and I like what I see. So join me, come to the dark side, and let's go spend this money. All we got to do is kill a couple other people. And Trevette, I mean, you say right here, Steve, badge gone. And I got to agree. I'd be like, millions? How many are we talking? Even if it's even if it's 100K, Steve, I'm in. 100K right now. I'll throw it all away.
$100. Look at her, man. Look at this. She big fine. Big fine.
But what is not good about that's a Sophie's choice, Steve. But this is like a 5-minute conversation that's happened in broad daylight in front of a gangster's house that they're casing out. So now, as this is going on, one of the thugs is like, gets his shit together enough to be like, yo, dude, there's fucking these two people we're looking at right here. They start blasting from the balcony. The Jamaicans also don't do any target shooting because they can't hit a shit, Steve. They got high ground and a shit ton more bullets, and they can't hit two people that are right there, Steve.
They'd be horrible at GoldenEye. Like, I just tell you, villains in the 90s, man, just like...
One of them has a giant white cowboy hat on. There's no bigger target than that. He's right there, guys, but...
And then at nighttime...
They don't fucking hit them. I think Trevette unloads and maybe hits one of them, but as that's happening, Angel takes off again. honeypotted again, Steve, leaving Trevette at his third crime scene shooting with his dick in his hand.
At least this time there was one casualty, like that was right. Like they because he shot one of the bad guys. I don't, or maybe she did. One of the Jamaicans were shot and they fell from the balcony. But he did mention how she kind of saved my life because she told him to move because they like she saw them coming. She was like, "Hey, move!" And that basically created a diversion for her to escape again.
Well, and he has to explain this to Carlos again. And if I'm
And Walker.
Carlos at this point, I'm going, dude, you need to call your boss and have him come back because this is way too much now. We got 3 unsolved crimes here, and we got a bitch out on the lam that's shooting people like it's hotcakes, Steve. It's going out of style. So they do talk, and in this, he talks to Walker again. And in this conversation, Walker's like, dude, you've fucked up this up so many times. Take a step back, bud. Just take a breather.
Clear your head. Just fall back. It ain't even been a week, man. This bitch is running through Dallas. And so the next scene, Trevette is shooting some hoops, practicing his J.
He's
And
talking basketball. Dude, he's hitting it all, Steve, and he's fired up. This is, I mean, he's getting all the demons out. He's breaking the cobwebs up.
there you go. That fade away. And he also might get shot because here comes Angel again.
Damn, bitch. Can you, have you ever heard fair fight? You got to come up with a tool. I mean, I guess for an assassin, it's one thing, but she just comes, this guy's trying to fucking shoot a J.
He spares you several times, actually.
Yeah. He could have, I mean, damn, but she's got him in the fucking sights again. And Trevette's like, I thought he was just going to keep shooting hoops because he keeps his back to her for a while. And I was like, damn, this motherfucker's going to shoot a free throw with a gun to his fucking back. But he turns around and was like, dude, yo, what happened, kid? We used to fucking go to the movies together and go get ice cream. And now you're just fucking shooting motherfuckers for money?
Yeah.
Damn, girl. It's kind of
Bitch, you went
turning
to
me
school for-
on, but
I remember you went to school for graphic design. Like, well, how did you go from, trying to create websites to, being a hired hit woman? And, while she's got the gun up to him at the ball court, the Jamaicans do a drive-by, trying to spray up the place. And once again, the shooting is horrible. No target practice. And, they're able to escape that. And after that, Angel drops off a tape that has basically a confession.
yeah, and this made me laugh so hard because she hands him what I thought was like an audio tape, Steve. It's a videotape that they watch, and it's literally Andros making the deal to kill somebody. And did she hide the camera, or was the scene set up like on a backlot? Because it was like it was right there, Steve. And he couldn't have been more obvious. He's like, so I need you to kill and murder somebody with a gun. This is a hired kill. It's like, dude, use some fucking term. Don't just say it. You're like basically holding a paper up like, kill a man on this date. My name is Andros. I'm making a deal for you to assassinate a guy. This is my confession. Like, dude, what the fuck?
And this is 98, so cameras couldn't be compact. The most compact would be as big as this laptop. And,
what's that, Andrew?
It's
like, she's got a big cowboy hat on.
Yeah. Or just a big purse with a hole in it. And, the last thing they see and hear is her saying, I don't work cheap. 500,000, and then the tape ends. God
damn it, Andros. You didn't see, I mean, God damn it. You're on tape now. So we're at the police station. And so at least, I guess now Trevette's not going to jail for all this criminal negligence. But Andros, we cut back to him. He's dressing down these guys because he's like, there's 2 people here, dude. Like,
4 of you.
Get a fucking grenade. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We're a fucking gang. Like, there's got to be some way to do this.
I hate this when these bosses try to talk now. Like, dude, they told you beforehand, before I lost my ear before we lost one of the homies. We told you we need more ammunition because like she's dangerous. And like you ain't even trying to be out on the field. You ain't even trying to be outside. So like, why don't you try for yourself? We told you.
This
You just
motherfucker's
sitting
like
here.
fucking Arnold and Predator. He's just coming out of the fucking woodwork and slicing us up. Dude, I'm missing an ear, dude. There ain't no insurance in this gang. Andros, give me your fucking weird do-rag that you got from fucking Jack Sparrow, that weird pirate shit you got on, bro.
Or try this shit yourself. You see, she killed one of us. She chopped my ear off, shot it off. Like,
I don't know how the fuck these Jamaicans got to the top, Steve. Just a series of errors, and they just fucking tripped their way up. But as he's dressing these guys down, the cops show up. And at least in this case, the cops show up and the Jamaicans don't fucking hesitate because they're like, they get into it, Steve.
and Carlos, I have to say, for this episode of Walker, he has the crispiest of the connections. He hits him with a juicy roundhouse. He hits him with the jab, hook, uppercut. Oh, Carlos, I see you out here.
He even brings out I didn't know he could throw a kick, but he throws in some kicks. He's busting ass. Trevette's kicking ass. And there's people shooting guns around them. So they're coming in just with the fisticuffs, Steve. They don't even give a fuck. They're like, you know what? I'm going to prove myself this way. The black belt way.
These Jamaicans can't shoot anyway. So, Carlos Roundhouse could usurp all of that shit. And, Angel, she makes it up to the upper room and she blasts Andros.
This bitch is everywhere. He runs from the fucking shootout into his office, a couple of floors up. This bitch just comes out of a closet and is like, oh, hey, Andros. Like, how'd you get in? Damn it. They were right the whole time. You are fucking unkillable. What's going on here, bitch?
He wouldn't listen.
Well, she has an itchy trigger finger because she just blasts dude. And he's like got a bag full of fucking bank bonds and shit. It's cash. He's got all the fucking shit out of the fucking safe. And she hits him. Trevette catches Angel in the act and fucking gets her to put the tool down finally for one time. And does she
while that happens, she gets blasted.
I thought she pulled out another gun. I think that was another scene, but she gets blasted in the head by Andros. And I don't know exactly where she got shot. I thought she got shot in the head, but then she had some lines after that. So,
she got shot in the back. And, with the last bit of might and will that Andros has, and, Trevette, he has more flashbacks of Angel. And I miss my Uncle Charles, dog.
He remembers the good times, Steve. Those 2 times that they met where there was no bloodshed. When he gave that kid an ice cream cone. But that's it. We don't even see Walker come back to town or any sort of like aftermath. It's just fucking Trevette just... It's almost like if you've seen the Death of Superman comic, it's that. He's holding this dead person in his arms and just, why? And that's it, Steve. And I'm telling you right now, if I'm Walker, you're getting demoted. You're never going to be left alone again. And to be honest with you, Trevette, you're going to you need to just work on your trust and like your common sense because this bitch just played your ass.
Once again, I can't blame him. No,
but damn. But I mean, hey, dude, let that be a lesson. What's her face? Cahill tried to tell his ass, she might not be what you think.
Another fun fact.
Prom queen was a porn star. They become porn stars too. It's not all rosy fucking futures and shit. This bitch, she's getting paid to fucking kill, Steve.
Another fun fact about Miss Valerie Pettiford. She was in an episode of Frasier. A little fun fact.
Oh, wow. I wonder if Frasier tried to get in them James.
He should have.
Talk about a down periscope, Steve. Hey,
up periscope. But somebody who probably wasn't watching this episode of Walker, Texas Ranger in 1998 is probably Tennessee quarterback Peyton Manning, because he was the first picked by the Indianapolis Colts in the 1998 NFL draft. Goated.
It was just a matter. That's one of the few quarterbacks that came out of college where everyone's like, he's gonna be insanely good, and it just happened. You
Lived up
know?
to the hype, man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I was never a fan of the Colts, even though that was my team when we were roommates. I was on one side, and was it Harrison on the other side? I was one of Peyton Manning's wide receivers in Madden
Hell yeah,
back in the
dude.
day.
But hell yeah, wasn't this the draft with Ryan Leaf?
This is, man.
Yeah.
Despite that, though, because he was considered a bust, one of the biggest busts. This NFL draft is considered by like a lot of people to be one of the greatest ever, man. Because yeah, it did have Peyton Manning, it did have Ryan Leaf, but it also had Randy Moss, it also had Charles Woodson, Kyle Turley, Fred Taylor, Keith Brooking, Takeo Spikes, Alan Faneca. He was a Hall of Fame
Steeler.
guard. Yeah, a Steeler, Flozell Adams for my Cowboys, Patrick Surtain, Samari Rolle, a lot of Pro Bowlers, Jeremiah Trotter for that shitty Philadelphia team, Allen Rossum, Hines Ward. He was drafted.
Damn, okay.
He was a third rounder, man. So yeah, you got some good picks out of this draft, man. A lot of guys that we probably won't remember, but from the '90s, it's one of the best.
Chuck Woodson from Fremont. Shout out Chuck Woodson, Steve. Even though he played, I
Yeah,
get it. I know. But he knew he had good taste at some point in his life before he did that. So you know what? Give him that.
well, he's one of the few that I will give props to because when you were there, you handled your business, you beat us every time. I hate you for that, but you are from Ohio. Respect that. I hate the fact that you
Propers.
traded us. You traded on us. You know, you Freetown Poochie, what they call you back in Freaktown. They call him Poochie Woodson. But hey,
Poochie.
Poochie, hey, ask the Fremont guys. I don't know how he got the name. Maybe it was a family name, but hey, you're a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest cornerbacks. You played for that team up north. Fuck you for that. But I've said enough.
There you go. Go out on a high note, Steve.
Hey, fuck you too. And yeah, 99, that following year, Family Guy is airing season 1, episode 3, Chitty Chitty Death Bank. First
Hell
time
yeah.
talking about this show. It's Stewie's first birthday. First birthday. But Meg is at a party that is really a cult meeting. Um, I,
This first season has there's some weird like differences in what I remember from Family Guy. Like in this, Meg's not getting trashed on by everybody as hard as she does now or like in the later seasons. But man,
yeah.
very memorable. We watched this when it came out. I love Family Guy when it first came out. We obviously were disappointed when it got taken away, but it's crazy it got brought back, lasted so long. And this episode, I remember this shit.
And also, man, this was like the first time a cartoon really had pop cultural references, man. Seth MacFarlane, he really like reshaped how like animation can be made. It's got its adult humor and it's very pop culture savvy. And as two like pop culture junkies such as you and myself, man, like we were eating this up. Like watching this for the first time, we hadn't seen anything like it. Um, in 2024 now we're so used to it where it's become commonplace and we expect that from Family Guy. But before that, like it wasn't really being done like this, man.
Especially the like those quick cutaways, like almost like meme style jokes that they throw in.
Yeah.
It makes it a motherfucker to talk about because there's so much shit happening in these episodes, but it's so fucking funny. And it does seem to like these short, punchy, like a joke every second that they do in this, where it's like set up punch to these cutaways. It is a different, it's not like The Simpsons where it's just like a constant story that's unfolding. This like keeps going back and forth, and it's almost the cutaways that make everything. Story's inconsequential at a certain point.
Pretty much, man. And you know, I feel like that has less of an effect now because we're so used to it. But man, like he was pretty innovative. You know, I got to give propers because this is still. I haven't watched it in the last several seasons, but this is like one of the greatest, in my opinion, of all time, man.
So quotable, so quotable. The characters are great. And like you said, man, this episode, I mean, where are we at in this? This is episode 3. So we haven't even, this is like just still getting its legs under him. But here it's very Stewie centric, which we love. And Stewie, it's his birthday. And we get to see, everything getting set up. We get to see what happened when Stewie was born. That was one of the first cutaways. And we see Stewie come out. And he doesn't just come out just a baby, Steve. He's got just a map of Europe, which seems a little bit sus, you know.
He comes out scheming, man, and we find out that the party is going to be held at Cheesy Charlie's, a parody of Chuck E. Cheese. And this is important to Lois because she missed Chris and Meg's first birthday. She was just too busy, doing other stuff. She missed Chris and Meg's first birthdays, missed the first word, the first steps, and even Meg's first drum solo.
I love Peter comes in to tell her all that stuff's happening, and she's like sweating, making cakes and shit. He's like, "What the hell are you doing in here?"
Anyways,
but Stewie finds out as all this is going on that they've hired a professional, and Stewie kind of views a professional much like an angel, not a professional party thrower, but maybe they've hired somebody to do something to him that's a little devious, Steve, because that's how he thinks.
an angel of death.
And then Meg comes home.
Yeah.
She's crying, Steve, and we see Peter act like a real dad here. He's comforting her, and she's just messed up because she went to try out for the cheerleaders, and she got some fucking guff, Steve. It didn't go well.
She doesn't fit in with anyone in high school. And Peter can relate to that because we did a callback to him not fitting in with the West Side Story gang. And just like, yeah. Man,
he doesn't know the steps and shit. Crater Face is pissed off at him, and cut back, and Stewie's writing in his diary, Steve. He's got the crayons out, and he's just writing about this professional. He's concerned. We see more flashbacks of him almost in a look who's talking sort of tone, where we see the sperm going to the egg. It's Stewie, and this is like the X-Wing shit. It's almost like a Star Wars spoof, and he makes it in. And then we kind of see him grow in the womb, and it's weird, Steve. This kid's got a weird memory.
He's the lone surviving sperm, and we see him even in the womb. He's journalizing his experience. Like, it stinks down here.
Yeah. And then he comes out, Steve. And this is the guy that he's sort of worried about, this man in white. And this man in white who he keeps writing about, who he's worried about, is the doctor who pulled him out of Lois. But he's kind of personified him as a villain. And he's worried that this party's been set up, and this man in white is the pro who's been called to get him and force him back in the womb. That's like sort of what his thought is of this plan. So he's not into this, Steve. He's got to figure it out.
And Meg has some figuring out to do too, because in high school, she's getting ridiculed by the popular girls who walk by her and they say, "It's just great being thin and popular, isn't it? Let's go throw up together." And she's like, "I like throwing up." Loser bitch. And a girl named Jennifer walks up and she's like, "Oh my God, your hair is so beautiful. Oh, like you're the greatest person ever. Do you like throwing up?"
Yeah, Jennifer's all about it, Steve, in a weird way. Got a nice fucking suit, though. She's got a nice little tracksuit on. I respect that. But then we cut to Cheesy Charlie's, because now you got to throw a deposit in. So that's Peter and Chris's job. They go to Cheesy Charlie's. They got one job, Steve. But they get there, and man, that arcade, man, it's hitting. They get sidetracked, just like we would,
Could resist hopping into that fun. And he hops into the party balls, and Chris, he won a balloon in the restroom, which was actually a condom, probably used. I don't know why a condom would even be in the restroom of a Cheesy Charlie's, but Peter, he lost his Dukes of Hazzard watch to a boy, and he's playing hardball with the manager of Cheesy Charlie's, and he's like, "You know what, we don't need your stinking place, we can do this whenever, wherever." And so now that position is open, that slot, other people jump at the chance to like reserve a spot for Cheesy Charlie's, and he's just like, "Oh, well, I guess we're fucked now. How do I explain this to Lois?
Chris, shut up while I figure this out. So he has to get home and explain this. So while we're waiting for Peter to get home, Stewie's just doing some research. He's got a Soldier of Fortune magazine, and he's just trying to find some hired guns to take care of this problem. He's trying to find maybe Angel's in there from our previous episode, but he needs some heat. He needs a pro. He needs this man in white taken care of. And then Peter gets home and he's like, Lois, I got something to tell you. And I love Brian's like, hold on, let me get ready because I know this is going to be some next level bullshit. And Peter tells his like version of this, and it's not what I would call factually accurate, Steve.
Like he basically tells him how the manager was the devil. They're killing kids. They're making cakes made out of people. They have death traps, and how Peter turned into the Incredible Hulk. But Lois, she slaps him out of that false reality, and she says, like, Peter, I booked this on the same day I had my ultrasound. That's how busy Cheesy Charlie's is. And she leaves the room, and Brian calls him out like, man, you are so full of shit. You're the worst liar ever. And then they have a quick cut back to when he farted in the elevator, and he just blamed it on the other guy, the one other guy in the
elevator. But he also convinces Lois that he's like, look, I know I fucked this up, but I got it covered, baby. I got a juggler. I got fucking a petting zoo. I got it all. But that's not the case, Steve. And unfortunately for him, to get those things takes time that he doesn't have because it's like literally the next day. So Brian's giving him shit for that. And as he's pointing out the level of bullshit Peter's doing, Brian gets sidetracked by just a weird tiny wagon and horse carriage that just goes through the living room and he chases it. And it's just a weird thing that happens. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Family Matters or Family Guy, it's full of those random things, man. And, meanwhile, Stewie, he's at the Quahog airport and he's trying to make it to Nicaragua. But because he's a baby, they basically take him to security, like, so he can figure out, like, who are your parents? Like, how did you get here? All of that stuff. Peter and Chris, at the same time, they're trying to get pigs for the petting zoo.
Yeah. And Peter gets there because, there's a cartoon. He finds the 3 little pigs' houses made of straw. He has his little leaf blower out, blows them down, but gets to that brick house, and these pigs are ready for it, Steve. So he can't even get some pigs for the petting zoo. Meg comes over. She's got Jennifer with her. The vibe's off. She's got a weird neck situation too, where she can exercise her neck in a way that's very supernatural. But Jennifer invites Meg to this cool party that's happening, but unfortunately it's the same day as Stewie's party. So mom says no, but then you do what every kid does, what Meg does. You go to the other parent. And Peter's ready for it. He's like, no, I'm not getting fucked up like this. What'd your mom say? And Meg says, no, he goes, did you ask your mother? And Meg says, yeah, I did. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. Good. You can go to the party then.
Peter has other things on the plate, man. He's trying to find the festivities for his son's birthday. And, he makes it to Bruce. This is our first time seeing Bruce. This is his debut on the show. And he's dressed up as Spider-Man. And he's like, yeah, I can do that. I can do a handstand, somersaults, maybe pretend the children are little bugs in my web. And then Peter's just like, oh.
He does the Homer meme where he backs out through the bush. So then we cut back to Stewie at the airport. He's talking to like old man Carruthers, the security guard. But basically the security guard gives him he's trying to talk some sense into a baby and is like, maybe you should just go home and face whatever you're running away from, son. And Stewie's like, you know what, dude? Fuck yeah. I got a tool in the fucking room. You're right about this. So he leaves, thanks the guy, but he freezes dude in carbonite because he's got that capability. Because, Stewie, Steve, he's an evil genius.
Evil genius. And, Peter, he lets Meg go to Jennifer's party. And Stewie's party is going on right now. And all he got was a cake and a big ass pinata. And Was it Brian that like recommends him joining the circus?
Yeah, he also is questioning whether he's hoping candy comes out of that big ass pinata because it's literally a pinata shaped like a big ass, which I love. I mean, like, just count me in on that. But Peter is told to go join the circus. And what a great idea because conveniently enough, there's a circus in town, and he sort of like diverts the circus to the house somehow. It's really not explained, but he gets that circus to the house, and I mean, Superman, Steve. This guy came through. He's got a fucking circus at the goddamn birthday party. I love that.
And all while this is going on, Stewie's upstairs practicing his karate, getting prepared for the man in white. And Peter tells Lois about Meg going to the party, and she's flabbergasted. Like, how could you? This is important. I want all the family to be here. And speaking of Meg, now she's at Jennifer's, and we already know it's a cult, and they're preparing ingredients used by the Heaven's Helpers. And this is a parody of was it Heaven's Gate?
Yep. Yep. And they're spiking that punch, Steve. They're spiking it. And it ain't alcohol, it's arsenic.
Arsenic, cyanide, rat poison, and a copy of Paul Reiser's Couplehood. Like that.
That's real. That's what actually kills you. The other stuff just puts you to sleep, Steve. So bad party, but Meg's still not. She doesn't see that. Jennifer's just spiking the punch, but Meg's still in. There's all these weird guys. There's really a bunch of the ratios there. There's a lot of dudes here. But we cut back to the good party or Stewie's party. And I just thought it was funny because I just remembered this line for whatever reason. But Stewie's hanging out with Chris, and Chris is like making him ice cream. And he's like, "You want some, man?" And Stewie's like, "Yes, I would. But no sprinkles. And for every sprinkle I find, I shall kill you." That was his thing, dude. He was just like a little evil baby. But he had a lot of those moments in these early seasons. But he's gonna, he's a birthday boy, Steve. But Lois, again, she's sulking. Meg's not there. Cut back to the bad party, and now Meg's sulking. And Jennifer's like, "What's going on?" And she's like, "Well, this guy I really like over there, I just don't think he likes me." And Jennifer's like, "Oh, no, it's cool. He's a eunuch. In fact, all the dudes are here because they're eunuchs, and cutting your nuts off is cool."
Yeah, we don't care about.
I don't know, guys. I don't know what's going on here. Heaven's Helpers. What's the goal here? What does this do? But Meg's still in, Steve. Still fucking in. She's still here, even with a fucking room full of ballless dudes.
Yeah. Before she even drinks the Kool-Aid. And, back to Stewie, he's trying to rally the baby troops and warn them about the man in white who's coming to put them all back in the hole. And, that was a shortcut. And back to Meg's party with the cult, the leader arrives. And, as he's talking to Meg and trying to get her infiltrated into the game, Peter arrives. He comes to save the day. And she's like, "Dad, I'm so embarrassed. I could die." And one of the guys says, "Not before us."
And no, they haven't put two and two together, but Peter even gets, like, the cult leader leaves the room to get ready for the ceremony. And while Peter's there, they hand him a cup. But as you think everybody's about to drink it at the same time, Peter looks at his watch and is like, "Oh shit," knocks the drinks out of him and Meg's hands, is leaving, but is like, "Hey, all you kids, you guys want to come to a party?" But unfortunately, they've already drank the Kool-Aid, Steve. So while they're on their way out and he says that, he looks back, they're all dead. And Peter's like, "Geez, Meg, you might be right. All these kids are just faking they're dead so they don't have to hang out with you." What the hell? I love that.
And as they leave, the leader tries to track them down because, all the kids, they basically died before him. So it's like, now how can I transcend? I need someone to die with me. And he sees the car leaving, like, wait.
Meg!
He tracks them down. Yeah. He tracks the Griffith house down. I don't know how. This is before GPS. And, he makes it to the house and the door closes behind him. He's like, "What was that?" Oh. Stewie says, "I see you, man in white. Peekaboo, I see you." What is this? It's a boy.
I like, yeah, he's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. All I have for you is a little untimely death." Because the guy shows up, and I mean, it's his convenience, Steve. The guy shows up in a white robe. Stewie's been waiting for a man in white. So it all lines up. But now Stewie took care of that problem. Dude's dead. He has like a death ray. So he's gone. And now it's time for Stewie to blow out the candles. And he makes a wish. And he gets his wish immediately, Steve, which weirdly enough is that the whole room changes into some sort of Saturday Night Fever scene and they all disco dance.
Yeah. Well, initially his wish was, we don't see it, but we hear chaos and destruction, because it's Stewie. Like, man, I just want to just kill the world. But he just like, what my second option was just like, let's just have a little 2-second disco vignette with my family.
And that's the beauty of that show, Steve, because you can do that. It makes no sense, but we love it. Get loose.
The cuts, man.
But that's
shout out
it.
to Seth MacFarlane.
And I don't remember, did they get this one season and then get canceled for a while? Or did they like get canceled mid-season? I don't remember how it broke out, but I definitely remember watching it one night with you. And I might have been one of these episodes because it was definitely early on Family Guy. So
I feel like they got at least 2 seasons on Fox before they kind of returned. They took a little hiatus. It might have been 3 seasons.
it got big. I mean, but obviously it got big enough that the, negative fanfare that happened when it got canceled, it was one of the first times that public opinion made a network bring something back that they canceled,
Yeah. So 2001, they had a season 3 that went from 2001 to 2003. And I think there was like some hiatus in between that. And then they went away and then they came back 2005.
Yeah. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane getting paid, successful, very funny. I think he oversaturated himself a little bit with like American Dad and stuff. But that being said, that show, the Cleveland show, all of them were bangers. So
Shout out to him, man. But somebody who probably didn't watch this episode of Family Guy 1999 is probably hockey great Wayne Gretzky, because he plays his final game in a 2-1 overtime loss between his New York Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins that featured another GOAT, our guy, Mario.
Lemieux.
I feel like that's
Man.
perfect.
Hell
It's
yeah.
like 2 GOATs, especially from the 90s. Like, man, you're Gretzky and like we're facing the Penguins. Like, that's the best way to go out. Like, that makes you even more of a GOAT, Wayne. Because, like, by all accounts, Mario Lemieux, depending on who you ask, he might be the GOAT. The fact that he beat cancer, came back, and played more of a tough sport.
It's a great story for sure, dude. And that's cool. Even in a loss for Gretzky, it was an overtime game. So it was even a good last game, And I like Pittsburgh winning in the end. So I love that.
And I don't know how you feel about Bryan Adams, but he sang "Oh Canada" in that game. He even ad-libbed, "We're going to miss you, Wayne Gretzky." The Star Spangled Banner was sung by John. I ain't even heard of this guy. Y'all could have done better with the Star Spangled Banner. Y'all got Bryan Adams for "Oh Canada." Come on, man, give us goddamn Keith Sweat or somebody. Who is John Amaranth? Like, what the fuck? What? I ain't never heard of you. But
They spent all the money on Bryan Adams, Steve. He had to fucking cut some corners.
Gretzky is Canadian, so I digress. But any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, my guy?
My honorable mention is just a nice little find that I showed you earlier that I found in my little 90s Trevor Trove, which is a novelization of the script for the Macaulay Culkin Ted Danson classic, Getting Even with Dad. Don't know why I ever bought this, but it's got a dramatic novelization of the movie, and it's got some nice stills from the movie itself with Teddy Dans and Macaulay having some fun. I can only assume, Steve, that this is one of those Scholastic Book Fair things that when it came around, there was nothing else available, and I just had to get something because I wanted to buy something. So maybe, I don't know, but I was a Macaulay Culkin stan, so I think that's why I ultimately bought this. I just wanted a little more Macaulay in my life.
Yeah, we're both Culkamaniacs, man. But I remember that feeling going into the Scholastic Book Club. You don't want to come out empty-handed. You're looking at your classmates. They got like 3 or 4 books and stickers, and it's just like,
And I already had all these Goosebumps books. I gotta get something, and I don't want to buy like the book about rocks, you know. So it was this.
Hardy Boys.
You know what? Fuck it. But Macaulay, you got my money, and to a Mr. Jordan Horowitz, good work. Good work. What about you, Steve? Do you have any nice novelizations of 90s movies at all or anything?
No novelizations, not this time around. But in 1992, Perfect Strangers has a double header. It had to be you and Get Me to the Dump one time. Balky, he finally gets married. And this is their season finale. He gets married to his longtime gal. I think is it Marianne or I can't remember, but the doofy one that matched his personality. He got married. And also in 92, SNL was airing the episode with Annie Lennox as the musical guest and Jerry Seinfeld. This is another goated SNL, but we just covered SNL like a week or so ago. I just remember the game show where like the three contestants are basically mimicking and parroting Jerry Seinfeld. And Adam Sandler, his answer for everything was like, who are the ad wizards who came up with this one?
That's fantastic. I love that.
I love when SNL goes meta. And also RIP to OJ. I know some people are on the fence, yay, nay, but he's a legend in a lot of different ways, famous or infamous. But RIP, and I'm not black, I'm OJ. But also RIP to Rico Wade, man. I feel like he's an unsung hero. Rico Wade just passed away the day before we are recording this. He was a part of the Dungeon family. He was a part of Organized Noise. He's actually like the nucleus of Organized Noise. All those great Outkast albums, some of those early Killer Mike songs, Goody Mob. He was the guy, and it's a three-man group of Organized Noise. It was him, it was Sleepy Brown, and the third guy, please forgive me, but Rico Wade, he was the brain of that organization, man. A lot of those great melodies. He died at 52, gone too soon, man.
Damn.
But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister that the eyes of the ranger are upon you. Any wrong you do, he's gonna see. When you're in Texas, look behind you, because that's where a ranger's gonna be. Check out Food Show Fanatics with my guy Matt G and Kendra B, as well as Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra, our guy Kark the Shark and Podcastle. This is Steve G and Matt G with
Happened in the 90s. Culture.
Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
Right shot! Now you want to get nuts? Come on! Let's get